All right. I decided to kick you all off because I got mad at my computer. So we'll just carry on. Throw my little fit here, and then we'll move on.
That's awesome. Hey, Chris, when everybody comes back on, is it okay if I just share something real quick?
Yeah. Sorry, Stella. I was kind of, again, throwing nasty stares at my computer and didn't think about giving you a chance to pop in here. So go ahead. In fact, I'm going to take this time to try to get my other computer working.
No worries. Awesome. Yeah, I told everybody on crew that hop back on. Accidentally said hot back on, but hop back on. Awesome. Yeah, so I just really wanted to share with a lot of folks here that, are new and trying something really, really cool yesterday. So I had called Chris because I was frustrated. I like he said, we have weeks where you feel like, everybody that you scheduled with, it seems like, I'm exaggerating here, but it seems like nobody shows up or they reschedule or just a weird week. Every once in a while, you can have a weird day or weird week, and you're for sure that you're going to hit it and do all these things. And, things can happen, right? So, something like that had happened this past week, but I didn't stop. If anything, it actually motivates me and pushes me to try harder. And then part of it, some of like Terry and my team, they know that I'm in the process. I'm going to move this week. So I had a lot on my brain and a lot of, unexpected, or not unexpected, but other expenses come up. So I was, kind of a little stressed about that. And the coolest thing this morning, I woke up and there was this huge deposit in there that I had forgot about. And here's the thing that I want to share with you is that, like Chris said, as long as you're consistent and you're continuing to sow your business, week in, week out, helping people, or also, working on all aspects of your business, it comes through. And when you least expect it, like, for example, if you're here after a year, that back end 25% gets deposited into your account, which is really cool. That's enough to, have been enough, on a monthly basis, to pay for a lot of things like mortgage, rent, stuff like that. And previously, Greg Ace, he's amazing. I don't see him on here, which I wish he was. But this guy, I refer a lot of the families with retirement solutions because he's such a pro at it. And Greg had helped, a number of my clients recently. And one of them had, he sent me a note earlier in the week, said, hey, so-and-so, she got her check in, so it got deposited. So you'll probably see that soon. And I didn't expect it this soon, but this morning it showed up and it was just really cool. It's just, my point is that obviously you always hear and to never give up. That's not in my vocabulary, but I know it is in, some other people's. And the other thing is just keep pushing through, just push through, whatever it is, just push through. I know business is coming. I know what's ahead of me. And I know that anybody else here that puts in the activity, like, it's coming. So I just really wanted to share that because it was really cool to wake up to that this morning. And it was like a prayer answered. And just super cool. Thanks, Chris.
Surprise money is always the best money, isn't it, Stella? You're like, what on earth? Where did that come from? Oh yeah, guys, that's the beauty of this business. I mean, if you stick with, again, that's the consistency. I love that you said that, Stella, because it's really not that. It's not really that that was magic money. I mean, it was just a result of consistency. But we forget about it because we're so consistent. We're just doing our activities day in, day out. We're making the appointments. We're talking to the people, and then all of a sudden, it's the farming analogy. We plant the seeds and we work and there's nothing. And then all of a sudden you go out and you got, a lot of harvest. You're all of a sudden so busy you can't keep up because you got to You got to go collect it all. But that didn't happen without a intentional act months before, you know. And you know, beauty of our business, and Stella references a lot of times, is, you know, the saying, the old saying, you can go from zero to hero. I mean, you can make that happen in a day, you know, and in literally 12 hours, you can turn your financial picture around if you're willing to put in the effort, the time, and, you know, blood, sweat, and tears. And now, does that mean at the end of 12 hours you're going to see that hit? No, but it's definitely not going to hit unless you don't put those 12 hours in. It's just not going to be there. And if you want that ongoing, you want that, you know, I think everybody's here. I know everybody's here, because I've you know, I've done thousands of interviews at this point. Everybody says they want the same thing. Only a fraction are willing to put in what it takes to get that. So, and that ties in really well with what we're going to be talking about. You know, you saw from the title, you know, the kiss of symmetry. Keep it simple, symmetry. And, you know, recruiting, I'm going to touch on a couple of things. This new program we've got going, guys, I am so excited about this. I haven't been this excited for a while about a program, because I'm going to talk a little bit through kind of the progression of what I've seen in this business since I've been here, but where I see this as being a new spark for our business. But let's talk briefly, because we've got, you know, what, 13, looks like 13 attendees right now. But, you know, when we had the Vetter group with us, and they're doing their own thing now, we were running about 45 to 50, 55, sometimes close to 60 attendees. And so it's obvious they got to the point where they needed to be doing their own thing. They were big enough to sustain a call. And we are too, but we've got to grow. You know, this group that we have on right now, love every one of you, but I need a lot more of you. And you need a lot more of you, because that's why we're here. You know, you know, for those who did come here just to produce, so this is a wonderful opportunity. You're going to be very happy if you're willing to put in the time and the effort and learn the craft. And that's the big thing. I think a lot of people miss. This is a craft. It has to be learned. You're not just going to walk in and just start, you know, dropping down, you know, $5,000-$10,000 cases. That doesn't happen. But if you're willing to get those small hits every day, it will happen over time. But, you know, so many of us look at this business for the opportunity of what it can be from a ongoing business, from a business standpoint. I mean, this is a business, whether you're running it as a producer. But most people see this for what it really was designed for, from its core, from the beginning. The founders put this company together as really a franchisable system without the franchise costs, fees, overhead, you know, all those things that you have to put up front to get into most businesses. We don't have to do that here. Now, we trade that out with a lot of sweat equity, you know, a lot of time, a lot of effort, and yes, some investment. And I think that's a missing piece there. I think a lot of people just think, well, I'm going to come in, excuse me, I'm going to build a team, and you know, I'm going to run one ad a week, you know, and spend about $25, and I'm going to build a team. That's just not going to happen. Sorry, I hate to be that that blunt with you, but that, you know, I think of it in these terms. I mean, you know, you talk about some of the biggest agencies in Symmetry, you know, and not even some of the biggest, just an agency that's doing $250,000 a month, you know, which should be, you know, your monthly revenue or your monthly submit roughly will usually equal what your annual revenue is. So if you're doing $250,000 a month, that roughly equates out to about $250,000 a year. You know, so you see these agencies doing $1 million a month, gross revenue somewhere around $1 million a year. You know, you look at our Marshall Whalen that's doing, you know, $1 million a week, so $4 to $5 million a month, gross revenue about $4 to $5 million a year. And that's just overrides. Now, it's not counting bonus. That's not counting equity share. You see Marshall's equity bonus every month has been running about 100 to 100 and a quarter on top of that. So you see what, you know, again, kind of recasting that vision of what's possible here. Marshall started out, though, where all of us started out as an agent. And then he just started building and was consistent with it. You know, a Marshall, you know, I mean, was never a top producer or elite producer. I mean, he was a consistent producer. He wrote business, he wrote steady business, but he was not one of those that was at the top of the leaderboards in business writing. But he's obviously, you can see today, he's been one of the most consistent people in this business. And that's what's missed. I think too many people think they've got to come in, they got to rise to the top. You rise to the top by being consistent. And there's nothing wrong, guys. I think it's cool to see people on leaderboards. You know, I see where your names go up on the leaderboards, either just our leaderboards or you know, the Pogue hierarchy. I mean, that's cool when your name starts showing up there. National, I'm seeing several of these names on the screen here start showing up occasionally and more often on the national boards. That's really cool. But that's short-term recognition. Your long-term recognition is going to come from the little efforts that you put in every day into this business. So let's talk briefly about what's going to take to get this block of pictures multiplied. And I want to tell you just a quick history, because, and the reason I want to share this is I want you to understand, you know, to get to where I'm at right now with 35 writers in the agency, kind of average, you know, we fluctuate up and down as all agencies do. We're running about 225 to 250 a month on submit. So, and I've been 5 years in the business. But if you go back to when I started, January 2016, and I had a conversation with Jacob Pogue in January 2016. And I said, this is what I want. I want to build an agency, and I want to be an agency owner, and I want to follow your track. So he said, okay, here's what we're going to do. And at the time, guys, we were recruiting on Craigslist. And the reason why I point that out is because Craigslist, I mean, it was fine. You know, at the time, you know, it cost you 10, 15, maybe 25 bucks to run an ad, but that was one ad. And that was what I call very passive recruiting. You know, I did some more market recruiting too. And that's the thing. I don't want to overlook that, guys. And especially right now, I'm going to take a brief pause. You have got people in your circle of influence right now that are desperately looking for something. Okay. And if you've talked to those people before, you got to circle back. Now's the time to be circling back on everybody. Because if you don't keep up with what's going on nationally, there are a lot of people that are leaving their jobs, and we're not going to get into, you know, whether you like it, whether you don't like it, but they're leaving their jobs because they have to, because they don't want to follow their company guidelines. Okay. And enough said about that. Because this is, you know, we're all independent contractors. We run our own businesses. So this is an opportunity for them to get out of that corporate rat race, to get out of somebody else telling them what to do, where to be, and how to do it. This is their opportunity to take control over their life. And there are more people today who are in that mindset than ever in I would say probably in my lifetime. I don't think that's an overstatement, and it's happened unnaturally. I mean, there's a lot of things that have forced that, but it doesn't matter how we got here. There are a lot of people who are looking for an escape valve. Okay. So that little side note, again, if you felt like you've worked your warm market, and I'm going back right now and looking through my list and reaching out to people. So you've got to be intentional, reach back out to your warm market. Okay. But back to kind of my trajectory here. We were recruiting on Craigslist. So how that was, we put an ad up, we would get calls in. Usually I was out in the field, so I wasn't taking those calls. In fact, if I remember right, our approach was to let it go to voicemail so we could listen to voicemail and kind of find out if it was somebody we even want to talk to. You can tell a lot from a voicemail. But we would listen to voicemail, call them back, say, hey, I'm really busy. I've only got a couple, 3 minutes. Chat with them just a couple minutes to make sure, again, somebody that we really wanted to share the information with, and then we would send them a link through email. The reason I point that out is that, again, that was very passive. That's very dependent on somebody seeing your ad. So you talk about roll of the dice, because you post an ad, especially in a large market, say like a Dallas or Portland or Phoenix or you post an ad, and it's probably got about a day that it's going to be seen, because with Craigslist, you kept moving down as more ads were posted. So unless you were posting new ads, your ad was getting shoved down, and so typically most of our calls would come in the first day or two, and then we might have a handful trickle in later in the week. But that was very, very passive. I mean, I'm surprised we recruited anybody doing that, but we did. Okay. Then we found ZipRecruiter, and we moved over and we found a way to get on the ZipRecruiter with accounts. Now, guys, I know some people are still recruiting on ZipRecruiter, and that's great. I'm going to talk about kind of our process. When we started with ZipRecruiter in the beginning, it was there weren't a lot of Symmetry people on ZipRecruiter, and so it was kind of boom time. And I think I remember, we were doing 90-day Mad Men. So, and some of you have been around long enough to hear that term. We don't use it a lot here anymore, but a 90-day Mad Men was where for 90 days, I mean, it was burning the candle at both ends. You were running your schedule as full as you possibly could on production, and then recruiting in any available time in between appointments. Typically we were running Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, recruiting on Thursday, and then team meetings on Friday, and wash, rinse, repeat. And the reason I bring that up, because I look at I want to say it's around 2017 February. They talk about getting 20 packets in. I got 40 in that month. And that, I mean, just got jokes, but I don't think it's that much of a joke. That's a lot of hot tea and lemon, because right now your voice is gone. You're talking nonstop for about 18 hours a day, and talking to clients, talking to recruits, follow-ups. I mean, it was just talk, and I got tired of talking to people during that time. I mean, it literally wears you out. And I would become only exhausted, not having really done anything physically, but talking and mentally, and it grinds on you. But my point is, with that, we were able to put a lot of activity in on the recruiting side and a lot into the pipeline. What we noticed over the next few years, it stayed up for, a couple of years, 2017, 2018. 2019, I started to see things dropping off. And then rolling into 2020, we really saw a major dip. And again, nothing against ZipRecruiter, because I do know some folks that are still using it. And I know some other teams are using it very well, but how our account was set up, we were on some, I'm not going to get into kind of the back end, the minutia, but basically we were on a old account with a pretty steep discount, and ZipRecruiter was throttling our results. We were paying too little money for them to feel like they could reward us with too much. So I share that to tell you, one of the things that's been happening over the last 18, maybe to 24 months is we have not been able to generate the kind of activity that we need to kind of have the growth that we had back when I started. Now, I know this has been kind of a long trail for me to get here, but it's important for you to understand, when we get into boom time on recruiting, guys, it's a lot of work, but man, it's a lot of fun too, because there's just a lot of excitement. There's a lot of energy. You just see that tidal wave coming, you know, and we talk a lot about the funnel. You got to have a pretty big funnel, and then what comes trickling out is very exciting, but you got to have that funnel pretty wide at the top. And that's been tough. I mean, you know, no excuses. I don't want, you know, we still have to be consistent. You still have to put the work in, but it has been tough. I'm not going to deny that. Our numbers, my numbers, you know, all of our numbers have not been what they were 3 years ago, 4 years ago, 5 years ago. And you know, really, I've been, you know, beating my head against the wall trying to figure out what's the workaround. Why is it we can't get, you know, the kind of packets in and the recruits in, and I keep coming back to it's all upstream. To get that funnel, to get the outflow that we need, you got to have a lot of numbers coming in, and we were struggling getting those numbers in because our systems weren't working. The systems that had worked so well in the past were breaking down, and we're not getting that. But guys, I say all this to lead up to this point is we've got something, and several of you are already on it, but I want to share with you what's going on the recruiting side, and why I am so excited about this new process that we've come across, and why I feel like it's going to be game changer, and a reset for us, you know, to get us back up to where, you know, you guys we're not going to be talking on the phone because we're not going to have time to talk, because you're going to be so busy between appointments and recruiting, which is the place that you want to be. And it's not, you know, I don't want to scare anybody off. I mean, you know, you're not going to do 90-day madmans for the next 9 years, because nobody can keep up that pace. But what we always told people in the beginnings, if you can do 2 or 3 90-day madmans in a 12-month period of time, you will not regret that time spent, and you will be very happy with the results. Because you got to have, it's that flywheel, you know, it's that slight edge, that flywheel where it takes so much energy in the beginning to get that thing turning, you know, big flywheel. But once that momentum starts happening, it takes on life of its own. And that's what you've got to have. That's what we understand with building. That's why we're so adamant on just being consistent. Don't get caught up in what's happening today. Like we talked about with Stella, you know, the week's not been what she wants it to be, but nobody's been a better example of consistency than Stella. And you can see it over the course of her career with Symmetry. There are ups, there are downs, but overall we averaged out. She's been very, very solid, above average on the production side, and even on the team building side, especially with all the challenges that we've had here in the last couple of years. So, guys, I'm going to share with you a little bit. For those of you, who have seen this, I still think you're going to get something out. In fact, I know you're going to get something out of this, because I had a conversation with our new trainer yesterday. And just as we were playing with the numbers, guys, I want to show you some things that should raise the hair on the back of your neck, just in excitement. Just, I mean, really get excited about what's getting ready to happen. And I say I'm going to share it because, again, maybe, yes, no. Fingers crossed. Is it coming? Hey, we got it. We've got it. We've got it. We've got it. All right. So this is LinkedIn. Guys, this is my LinkedIn account. This is something I did, just one search right before we jumped on. For those of you who don't know much about LinkedIn, and it's a social media, but it's more business-minded social media, okay? So, and I'm hoping my screen's not froze up. Are we still moving here? Because I saw myself freeze momentarily. Okay.
All right, you're good.
All right, awesome. Thank you. So again, it's a social media, but it's a business-minded social media. So, you know, the level of individual here is, I'm not going to say universally, you know, top notch, but it is where those people tend to congregate. And this is a very business-minded. But one of the things that's so powerful about this is just like a social media, people are putting their professional lives, not their personal lives. I suppose some personal lives, but mostly professional lives. They're putting this all up here. Their resumes are showing up on LinkedIn. And so one of the things, I'm going to start out with this first. You'll notice I put up here in the search. If everybody can see that, I'll read it to you. Seeking new opportunities. So these are people, and look at this number right here. 337,000 people who have these words somewhere in their profile. And a lot of them have it right up here, top center, that little green line right there. That's somebody that actually changed their picture to say, hey, I'm looking for something. So what would it mean to you if you had 337,000 applicants? What would happen to now? Okay, reality. Let me stop there, because I kind of, that may sound like I'm saying you're going to get all 37,000 apply. You won't. You probably don't want all of them to apply, because there's going to be a lot of in here that that, again, in fact, I see one right here, and that doesn't mean that she's not potentially a good fit, but basically says right there, experienced waitress. She could be very successful here, but it really kind of all depends if she's in that stage of life and her mindset's where, she's willing to grow and ready to take on a challenge like this. So I'm not saying she couldn't do this. It's all about where they're at in life. But here's a gentleman right here in the Kansas City area that's not too far from me, actively seeking new career opportunities. He's experienced sales and a business consultant. Is that not somebody I want to be talking to? I mean, that is golden right there. And there's 337,000 people. Now, again, not all of them are going to be people I want to talk to, but I guarantee you, if just a percentage of them were, that, guys, that's exciting to have those kind of numbers. Because again, everything I've been talking about, we're talking about funnel. We've got to have a wide funnel. Is 337,000 a wide funnel? Now, interesting thing about this is just one search. This is why I get so excited about this. This is just 3 words: seeking new opportunities. Let's change that to let's just see what seeking. Seeking job. Let's just keep it very, very simple. Oops, that's not what I want. I don't know why it chose skills. Apologies for the slow processing here. 1.95, almost 2 million. In fact, I just had an idea. Let's just do this. Let's take out everything and just put seeking in. $3.7 million. Now, can we find something out of 3.7 million, do you think? And that's off one word. There's obviously there's looking. We could put looking in here. Look at this, guys. And here's my point with this, because seeking employment, seeking opportunity, seeking new position, if I tried each one of these, I would be getting different results. Do you understand? Because I forget the numbers of how many people are on LinkedIn. I think we're talking multiple millions. Somebody may remember that stat. And just flipping through here, I see these little profiles with anytime I see that green bar, that's definitely somebody who's very active in trying to find something. Okay, so let's have a little fun here. I could type without fat fingering it. Okay. How about life insurance agents who are seeking full-time employment in the life and health insurance industry? Is that a candidate? 100,000 of them seeking license or looking to become a life insurance agent. Guys, this is why I'm getting excited. And hopefully you can understand why this is powerful. Because with just typing 3 words, I now have 100,000 people to reach out to. Now, for those of you who haven't got a chance to get on the training yet, and I'm actually talking to our new trainer about getting something scheduled. So if you haven't had a chance, don't worry, you're not going to miss out. The rest of us got a head start on you, but we'll wait and let you catch up. Actually, we're not going to wait. You're just going to have to catch up. This little program right here, everybody debates on how to say that. I don't know how to say it. I've heard Waxley, Walaxy, Walaxy. I don't know what it is. Anyway, doesn't matter, because this is the fun thing. This thing is sending out messages for me. So all I'm doing is going over here to my LinkedIn. All I'm doing is downloading lists, depending on what I type in here. And again, I was working with the trainer yesterday, and we were kind of laughing about the fact that, and I typed something in. He's like, "Oh, I never thought of that." And then he was typing something, and I was like, "Oh, wow, that's a great," my point is there's just so many variables of ways to pull, and you can pull people who are life insurance agent. You could pull nurses. You could pull teachers. You could pull salespeople, car salespeople, pharmaceutical salespeople. You can get this as really narrow it down as you want, or as broad as you want. But having a tool like this to be able to send out those messages, because what then happens, again, and I'm not going to go through the mechanics. You need to sit through the training if you haven't yet. But basically, just know that this is actively for you going out and tapping people on the shoulder. Hey, are you interested in talking? Would you like to talk? That's all it's doing. And I've got, let's see, down here you can see I've got, well, it's showing 4, but I can tell you I've already got a ton more than that. I noticed when I first pulled it up this morning, we got 20. And that's, and it's the only reason it dropped to 4 is because every time I open it, it resets that count. So it's actually already reset it a few times because I've been playing with it this morning. So I've probably got 30 or so messages that I've got to circle back in on. Now, are all of those people who are saying, yes, I want to work with you? Nope. Percentage, in fact, a large percentage are going to say, no, thanks, not interested. Have a great day, whatever. But no, they're not. But I don't care, because out of 30 people, I'm probably going to have 1 or 2. In fact, I already know I have 1 because I saw it pop up first thing this morning. I'm interested. Can we talk? And guys, if you're new, you haven't had a chance to recruit yet, and you don't understand what that means, let me just tell you, that is the lifeblood of building a team, is just talking and having conversations. So when I told you back in February of 2017, for me to get 40 packets back, I don't remember what the numbers are, but it was probably about 2 to 3 times that in interviews that I actually talked to, which was probably about 2 to 3 times more what I had to have scheduled. Because when you schedule an interview, doesn't mean that person's going to follow through. I don't understand that myself. If you schedule an interview to talk about a position, I think you would show up, but that's not how the world works. So if I schedule a bunch of interviews, I'm going to have a certain percentage that show up and actually talk to me. If I have a certain percentage that actually show up and talk to me, I'm going to have a smaller percentage that actually say, yeah, actually, this makes sense. I'm totally cool moving forward.
Hey, sounds like our business that we do when we make appointments.
Isn't that funny? Isn't that funny how it all comes back to I got to do a lot of talking and a lot of volume? Isn't that amazing how that works? And but guys, and I think that's where too many people. And this is where I have a little bit of trouble understanding because I don't know, maybe I'm just slow enough mentally that I just don't, somebody tells me to go, do this, do this, do this. I just keep doing it over and over again. But too many people aren't willing to do that over and over again because they're like, well, I talked to 10 people and nobody wanted to set an appointment. Okay, we'll go talk to the next 10. Maybe somebody will. Well, I did a bunch of interviews this week and nobody sent their packet back. Okay, well, let's go do some more interviews. I mean, it's really that simple. And to get from where I started in January 2016 to where I'm at, I'm by no means do I feel like I've made it. In fact, I would tell you very much we've got a lot of work to do to get where we need to go. But it didn't happen without a bunch of talking, a bunch of conversations. And you look at a Marshall Whalen, again, started out right where some of you are sitting right now, brand new, never even written an application, but just kept going out and talking to more people and talking to more people. Because the guys, the secret to this, and you'll hear Marshall if you listen to him in any length, at some point he'll say 3 to be free. It takes 3 people who have a commitment and see the vision, the same vision that you do. Now, it didn't take just 3 people. It takes hundreds of people to get down to those 3. Because there's a lot of people I tell, in fact, I say this a lot of times in my interview. People are like, well, this sounds great. I don't know why doesn't everybody do this? I say, well, here's why. I have no shortage of people who want to make 6 or 7 figure incomes. That's a long line. It's just when they figure out they have to work for it, that line gets pretty short. That's it. That's it, guys. So whether it's on the production side, I mean, that's just a lot of conversation. If it's on the building side, that's just a lot of conversation. Now, the production side's a lot easier because I can go out and have conversations right now. I can jump into Opt and be on the phone within 5 minutes. The building side takes a lot more effort and a lot more time, but it's no different. The secret to success is absolutely no different. It's just a longer timeline. If we're talking about a sales, it's a longer sales cycle. I mean, we're so used to talking to somebody today, maybe even sitting down with them on a Zoom meeting this afternoon and writing business and getting paid tomorrow. That happens. Whereas you look at some industries, and I've attended sales training with guys that are in industrial sales and they're selling huge pieces of equipment. And for them, a sales cycle is a year to a year and a half. Well, that blows my mind. I can't imagine working on a project for a year and a half before you get any resolution on that. Well, it's a little bit of that same mindset on the recruiting. It's going to take, we say minimum 90 days from the time you start recruiting before you start seeing any outcome, but that's kind of best case scenario. Reality is it's probably more like 6 months to a year. And that's also if you're consistent doing it every day. Whatever you choose, and it doesn't matter. I'm not trying to pitch this, although I think this is very exciting. I think you're crazy not to get on this. But if you're using, I don't care if it's Career Builder, ZipRecruiter, Indeed, name any platform, if you're not doing it consistently every week and just setting aside time to do it, you're going to be up and down. It's going to be like that person that goes out and puts in a bunch of activities, sets a bunch of appointments, goes out, writes some business, and then decides to coast for a couple of weeks. They're going to feel like their business is up and down all the time. Oh, I can't understand why. I feel like I'm ahead and then I'm behind. I'm ahead and then I'm behind. Well, so you're not consistent. That's it. Same thing with building a team. You've got to do, it doesn't matter if you're doing it every day or one day a week. I mean, you got to do that consistently. So we'll schedule time for those of you who haven't had a chance to jump on yet and look at this program. guys, here's the thing that blows my mind on it. It is crazy affordable. I kind of prepped everybody earlier and say, you got to be investing, you know, like big bucks. This is stupid cheap. I mean, I'm still I'm trying to wait for the other shoe to drop on why this isn't going to work, because it's too cheap. You know, roughly, I don't remember, guys, somebody have to help me, 60 or 65 bucks a month or something like that. I don't know. It's just, it's insane how cheap it is. But anyway, but I don't care how cheap or expensive it is if you're not willing to put the time and the effort in. But I just showed you guys with that screen share how little effort. That's the other side of this. I mean, just how little effort it takes. But what I'm wanting you all to understand is, if you are here to build a team, and again, for those of you who are production, ignore what I'm saying right now. But if you said, I want to have an agency, I want to be able to generate passive income, hear me now. You have got to get to a place where you're talking to 15 to 20 people a week, every week, minimum, and doing that consistently. Guys, you know, you go back to what Casey Watkins says, the 20-20 rule. You need to be writing 20 grand and submitting 20 packets to contracting, or no, sorry, submitting, getting 20 packets out. Am I saying that right? Help me, Stella.
Yeah, you're correct.
Okay.
20-20.
Right.
And typically 20 appointments and on both ends, 20,
right.
20-20
right.
in a perfect world. Yeah. I love what you said, Chris, and thank you so much for, you know, your kind words of encouragement and support. You're always so amazing at that. You're a great mentor. I love what you said about that 90-day madman cycle, because that's what I went through when I achieved agents where I didn't. My team and I achieved agency owner status. It was, you know, a total team effort, but I was like focused, you know, and we were all focused together, and Terry remembers that, Dave remembers that. But, you know, we've seen changes along the way, because, you know, there's life changes, and that's exactly why, you know, we got to keep on. If, you know, if we want to build bigger and better, you know, I love what you had said. You know, you're about 35 writers, and your APV is about 225,000 a month for this team. And that's really cool. So are you at 110 or 115 right now? I can't remember.
Yeah, we're at 110, running for 115. And so we keep tagging those numbers. There's a lot of metrics to track there, but we're on the cusp of it. But that's, you know, to me, it's, I mean, yes, we got to be focused on the next step, but you got to be focused on the bigger vision. And again, to get to the top, to get to 120, to get to equity partner, none of that happens with me. I mean, it has to start with me, but it has to happen with all of you. So when we say 3 to be free, you got to have at least 3 other people who have that same vision, who not only want to get to agency owner, who not only want to get to 120, not only want to get to equity partner, but they want to find their 3 people who also want to get there.
And I just want to reiterate just what champions each of you here on the screen are. All of you, you know, Donna, Stacy, Terry, Dave, you know, Jason, Heidi, Bob, you know, some of you I think are new writers, and I apologize if I miss you, but because we're rebuilding, you know, as Chris said, you know, we split apart, and right now we're rebuilding. And those of you that have been doing this, you're champions, like total champions, because if you recall, what Brandon said on a national call, you know, a while back, you know, he was talking, it was him and Marlon Faulkner and Brian Delaney and Brad Smith, and it was just a powerhouse. And at the end, I love what Brandon said. He said, you know, in this business, you know, it's such a heavy placement on our mindset. And like you're saying, Chris, that consistency, he said, because if it was a matter of people just, you know, people come in here and say, oh yeah, I'm going to master the phones. I'm going to do this. I'm going to make this many appointments. And if it were just that, we would all be $12 an hour employees, he said. But because it's more than that. It's simple, but it's not easy because of the rejection. Like me, this past week, this past week didn't turn out the way I wanted to, but I know because I've been doing it in and out every week. I know that it's coming because I know their batting averages. It's statistics. It's a numbers game. The numbers don't lie. It's over time. I see it. So I don't lose that faith, but a lot of people do, especially when they're new, and so I just want to encourage you, if you've, going through some rough patches, just hop on a call with your mentor. I know after this call, I've got an appointment at 10:30, but between 9 and 10, I'm going to open up my dial room and anybody's welcome to join me. Heidi has been joining me this last week and that's been a lot of fun. So you can hear other people, making calls or just have a virtual office, sometimes just getting started is all that you need. So just keep pushing, towards your goals, whatever your goal is.
Cool. Anybody have any questions? I'm going to get 5 minutes here before the top of the hour. Anybody have any thoughts or questions they want to ask about?
Yeah, Chris, I have a comment and I want to endorse what you just said about LinkedIn. I had in my past, the 20 some years through IBM, that I had national responsibility and I came in bottom floor, had to build, and using LinkedIn was how I did that. And it's not exclusively just doing pings to people, but referrals. People, I mean, I knew so many people with that many years in any industry. You're going to know a lot of people you don't even know and they're going to see Dave Moen is right now looking for building a team, looking to hire, looking for people that want to be their own, their own owners. And I swear to God, all the people that I would really, about 80% of the people that I would hire for my sales organization came out of LinkedIn and were more specifically referrals. John, that I've known for 12 years in IBM power sales, is now the guy that calls me up and says, Dave, I got a guy to be perfect for you. And so that endorsement as a referral, that meant so much to me. And so I'm already saying, John's referring me to you, Sally, and I'm already in your boat. Let's talk. So it is a business application specifically. It's not Facebook. It's not LinkedIn, not Instagram. It is focused on business. You can also, I would go out and promote strategies and just put a strategy out there that this is what I'm doing right now. And I could get it to all the people that I work with through IBM and all the business partners that I had in a matter of minutes. And then I would get feedback. If I'm right, if I'm wrong, if I'm on. So it's bigger. It's so much bigger. And you need, everybody that's in any line of business needs to be in LinkedIn at some level. Get into that premium level if you can, but use it and abuse it. And it's very inexpensive, very costly, and I'm a big fan. So you kind of re-energized my enthusiasm because I used to use this exclusively.
Woo! Let's do it.
Yeah, it's definitely. I appreciate that that share, Dave, because you're right. I mean, yeah, we've tried. We made several attempts at it in the past, and it is challenging to break into, especially if you're not familiar with it or haven't used it a lot. But again, this process, the system that was brought to us, and guys, it takes a lot of that blood, sweat, and tears out of the process. I mean, it's still going to take a lot of hard work on the other end, but man, a lot of the tedious stuff is taken care of for you. So I'm pumped up about it. To me, this gets us kind of in a position to get back to those boom times, early on when we were just, talking our voiceless horse.
Hey, any of you that have a LinkedIn account, if you're not linked up with every one of us here, link up, because the more connections we have, it's the better. You probably know that too, Dave. So if you see any pending, if you already have one, you see a pending request from me, please accept it today, now.
Good point, Stell. It is going to take, guys, it is going to take somebody that you can't just sit it and forget it. The Ron Propel, whatever that TV cooker thing is. This is not set it and forget it. You got to actually go in and work it. But what I love about it is once you get this thing churning for you, your front end effort is very minimal, which is huge in recruiting. I mean, anything that you can do to kind of, again, start filling that funnel and allow you to put all your work on the back end as that starts coming through, that's where your high value time is. And you know, keep in mind, it was Sean Shannon at a conference a couple of years ago, had a great speech, and he built it all around, you know, the idea that people, you know, think that if I can get my earnings to $250,000 a year, you know, I mean, that's kind of a good benchmark on your progression to, you know, to becoming financially independent. But he said, well, what is $250,000 a year? It's you know, don't quote me on the numbers, but I think I'm pretty close on this. $125 an hour. He said, what activities are you doing? Are you doing $125 an hour work? And that's a tough one, guys. You got to stop sometimes and look at yourself in the mirror and say, am I doing $125 $25 an hour work? You know, is me shuffling papers on my desk worth 100? Am I going to pay somebody $125 an hour to shuffle papers on my desk? And when you start looking at this as a business and start making business decisions, sometimes that may force you to say, you know what? I know I can find somebody who will do that for $15 an hour. And then I can go do the $125 an hour work. But to do that, you got to pony up and do the $15 an hour to pay somebody to do that, you know, or figure out how to automate it, which, you know, we're in a wonderful time where there's so much that can be automated. But my bigger point is not so much the minutia of the logistics and planning, all that stuff. And that's not the point. The point is you've got to be putting your activity into things that are going to get you those results that you're looking for that 250,000, that 500,000, that 1 million plus. And I can tell you, in our business, we know exactly what it is. Set 15 to 20 appointments a week, have 15 to 20 conversations a week, and just wash, rinse, repeat.
If I might add, you know, if that seems overwhelming at first because you feel like, well, I'm dialing, I'm trying to make all these appointments, just narrow it down to like what Chris is saying, but try to get yourself in front of as many appointments, as many families as you can, and talk to as many people that you can through recruiting, if that's your goal, is building. As long as you're talking to them in front of them, that's what's going to get you closer to that. Like he's saying, that's the high productive work that will yield those results, is just actually being in front of them, being in front of a family. Even if you're not helping them because you're new and you're learning, you will, because it's natural progression.
Absolutely. And hey, all your recruiting conversations don't have to happen on the phone. They can happen in that appointment with that client. Stella can tell you how to do that.
Like Dave's moan.
That's right. All right, guys, top of the hour. I see we're running a little bit over here, but let's go ahead and wrap up the call. We'll be putting out an announcement for the next round of training on the new program. So if you haven't had a chance to get on it yet or missed it in the past, certainly it's worth you taking a look at it. And I think once you see, once we walk through all the steps and how simple it is, if you've got a dream to build an agency, this is, to me, one of the best things that we've had come down the pipeline on the recruiting side. Last thing I'll leave you with, though, is to build an agency. Sometimes we get too focused on the numbers. You have to be focused on it. I'm not saying you shouldn't, but you also have to focus on yourself. So be putting in the effort and the activity now to be in a position where you can lead a team. Be working on your development. What are you reading? What are you listening to? What are you watching? Because if you're not putting that time in now, guys, you're never going to be able, you're not going to be able to keep ahead of that wave that comes. You're not going to be ready when those people start coming in, and you're going to find yourself perpetually struggling. You're going to bring people on, lose them, bring them on, lose them. So you got to be investing now in your self-development to be able to be in a position to help those people grow and build and join you on that journey. It'd be really sad if you found your 3 to be free, but you weren't in a position to get them and to help them get where they need to be. All right, guys, wrap it up. We've had a long enough call. I know a lot of you have got appointments and stuff to wrap up for the week. Midnight Eastern is a cutoff for turn in for the week for business to count. And I know several of you got appointments. Friday is a beautiful day to be adding business in. So thank you all. Look forward to seeing you again next week, if not before. Have a great weekend, guys.
Thank you, guys.